Courtney, what are you most known for in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
If you'd have asked me about 2 years ago, I would have said close guard or an armbar. But unfortunately, I had a knee injury that forced me to work everything other than close guards. So pretty much all rounded at the minute. I don't have one thing in particular. I still love a good armbar from everywhere. But I think that would probably be the only particular thing.
Nice. It's really great to be able to chat with you today for the Enyo Submission Only Jiu-Jitsu podcast and the Enyo 7 event at Central Hall in Southampton on Saturday, the 7th of June. This episode is sponsored by Women That Fight. They believe in breaking barriers, building community, and celebrating the strength, resilience, and talent of young women in combat sports. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or just starting your journey, Women That Fight is right there for you. Go and check out all the sponsors for Enyo 7 in the show notes. So, Courtney, you were known for arm bars. You are now a more generalist in jiu-jitsu. But when did all the jiu-jitsu stuff start for you?
So I was about 12, 13 years old, and I was having a bit of a hard time in school. So I did Muay Thai, but my dad wanted me to try grappling, and at first I was really reluctant and was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing pajamas. And then I tried my first session and I didn't look back. I was like the youngest person on the mat, the only one that wasn't doing kids' belts, the only girl for a lot of years, but I wouldn't have changed it in any way, shape or form.
I love that. And you've stuck with it till now, and you are up on Enyo 7 in June. Tell me what you're feeling and how you're preparing for Enyo 7.
I'm really excited. So I was on Enyo 6, the last one, last February, and it was such a professional vibe. I mean, I've done a few competitions before where it's had like the same professional feeling, AJP being like probably the only one that's matched it. So like even just like the way that they make you feel as a fighter, like you feel really like privileged to be on there, and I feel really privileged to like the fact that they've asked me to be able to fight on their show. I think what they're doing is amazing for not just women's jiu-jitsu but for women's sport all over. Like, yeah, it's so inspiring that like we have some like a show that's dedicated for us, and I think a lot of shows are making more of an effort now to be inclusive and to include women, but I think the fact that it's the only female only show, and the fact that like I'm on it just blows me away a little bit. I'm like, oh my god. A little bit of like imposter syndrome.
Now, when you were starting out at 12, probably being one of the only females on the mat in your club, were you inspired by anyone? Did you have anyone encouraging your journey?
So yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to Fionn, and I feel like that's quite a general comment that you'll probably get from a lot of people. But she is just like the things that she does and the barriers that she pushes and the norms that she breaks. It's really inspiring. And to be honest with you, like I said, I don't want to come across as being like, oh, she's just making generalized comments, but any female that does jiu-jitsu, whether you are a day one white belt and you are just starting out, or whether you have been training for 20 years and are a black belt and really experienced, inspires me, because having, and I'm going to say having the balls to step on the mats in a male dominated sport is such a big like fear to overcome. So even just that is like amazing. So I think any female that can get involved in this sport and can put themselves in the awkward position of having to roll with men and like overcome that it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that is very worthwhile reiterating that anyone taking up this sport, you know, you've kind of overcome your own barriers to stepping on the mats, whatever it is, whether it's, you know, as a teenager and some of the fears that the kind of younger ones hold, or even us, you know, masters or kind of pre-masters, competitors and hobbyists have. But stepping on those mats and just keeping going throughout that whole journey, what has kept you engaged for this long?
Um, it's been a long journey over the past sort of like 8 years, I want to say.
Yeah,
So I started out with my dad. Me and my dad, it's always been me and my dad. I don't have the best relationship with my mum. Um, and he was the one that inspired me, kept me going. So my dad's a paediatric nurse, so there was a few times a week where he wouldn't be able to take me to training, and it was like 25 minutes in a car, so I'd cycle to training because I just wanted to be there. Uh, and then I met my husband, who is a black belt, so he inspires me. I mean, just being able to train with amazing people, like
yeah,
the amazing people that have been able to train with over the years, inspires me and keeps me going. But I was really fortunate that a few years ago I got a job in Abu Dhabi, and I was able to train with the national team.
wow,
So that was a massive inspiration that kept me going. We only did gi over there, which is quite controversial considering no gi's really big at the minute.
yeah,
But yeah, that really made me open my eyes and see it from a different perspective, because everything's so different over there.
yeah. Tell me about that experience and what makes training in Abu Dhabi so different.
Um, so the girls are amazing. They're so dedicated. I mean, they represent their country. Um, it it was very hard training, and it was a different kind of training to over here. So we would do a lot of speed drills, which I know is quite common to do. But it was just the intensity.
Yeah,
So we'd train 2 to 3 times a day. So that
wow,
was quite intense. I was doing personal training alongside that. So I was just knackered every day. But yeah, it was a different lifestyle, and like the build up to competitions, because so they all fight under AJP. So I did a few competitions when I was out there. I did the AJP National, Abu Dhabi National, and like the build up to that competition, it was so intense. And I don't usually get nervous for competitions. Usually I'm quite
yeah,
relaxed. But I think because I knew literally how much blood, sweat, and tears I'd put into that competition, it made me a little bit nervous to be like, oh, like, come on, you've got to do well. And I really surprised myself. Like, I felt like I wasn't getting better and I wasn't training like to my best ability, and it
yeah,
really it sent me quite sort of south, and like I was just a bit down about it. But I came out winning a gold medal, and it wasn't easy, but it was easier than I expected it to be. And yeah, it was just a bit crazy. Like, it was a really good experience. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world. I loved it. The girls
amazing.
were amazing over there. They were so inclusive. Like, it was quite hard because I was the only one that wasn't an Arabic girl, so I didn't really understand from them, but they also didn't understand from me, who's sort of like quite Western, quite open. They were all quite sort of closed, but they welcomed me with open arms, and they were so friendly. I was really, really so fortunate to be able to get the experience that I did.
Amazing. Now, you talk about feeling nervous. Some of us might feel nervous stepping onto a competition mat. And how did you deal with that? And do you have any advice for anyone stepping on to a competition mat or an invitational like Enyo 7 to deal with nerves?
Yeah, I used to get really nervous before competitions, especially at white belt, and to the point where I would literally want to pull out of the competition before I go and step on the mat. It was really horrific. It used to make me feel really sick, and I know that's quite common. Um, but I've had some major growth, because now I can just step onto a competition mat and not even get that adrenaline feeling and just go in really like clear-minded. I think as a lower belt, a white, a blue belt, people want to go a little bit sort of like hell for leather, which can be a bit overwhelming because you're like, well, I don't want to get injured. I did a lot of sort of mind training and meditation around it, and sort of just realizing that actually it's just a role, and being more competitive and setting yourself goals that are realistic when you are in the gym and training really helps, because it helps you to be more open-minded and be able to think clearly when you are competing.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. We will continue in a moment. This is the Enyo Submission Only Jiu-Jitsu podcast with me, Lou Temlett, talking with all of the upcoming Enyo 7 competitors. One of the things that would really help this show grow is by you subscribing on whichever platform you're on: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music. If you could do that for me right now, I would be forever grateful. And as always, go and check out the clips on YouTube and Instagram at Enyo Grappling. Today, I'm having a chat with Courtney Kaye. So, Courtney, let's get to know a little bit about you, because before we started recording, you revealed that you are, in fact, a head of year.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Oh, yeah. So, you're head of year 9. I have a child that is in year 9. What does it feel like from the other side?
To be honest with you, I don't really know any different, because I'm only young. I'm 21, but it's my dream job. I'm so happy with it. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely really challenging, but it's really rewarding. The area where we are is quite deprived, which makes me more grateful to have the group of kids that I are, because some of them have little to nothing, but they are so respectful, so grateful, and they just get on with life in the way that others wouldn't, which is like a massive quality to be able to have as a young person. And even just growing up in today's society, I mean, it's crazy, like having social media and the massive effect that it has on children. It's crazy, it's bizarre. So being able to hopefully be a positive influence it's kind of an amazing thing to do.
You gave me shivers down my spine in a really positive way then, Courtney. It was just so lovely. Bringing on the next generation is just so important for all of us to be role models in our own right, whether we're parents or whether we're, coaches in jiu-jitsu schools or involved with education or just fellow peers of these young people. It's just so important to, work hard, train hard, be a kind and good person in that sense. What made you want this to be your dream job?
So from being maybe 15, I did the kids classes at my old gym, Celty side, and I assisted coaching, and then I moved up to doing 1 day, 2 days, and I've always had such a passion for teaching. And then I went and I did my A levels, and I was so passionate about, I want to be an English teacher. I want to be an English teacher. And then I came back from Abu Dhabi and I did some teaching. After I'd done my qualifications over there and stuff. And I came back, like I said, I did some teaching, and I love being able to pass on that knowledge. But there's just something really, really powerful and really special about being able to be there for someone in sometimes the way that nobody else is, and being able to be part of like what we would call a pastoral team. Some of these kids have got no one, they go home to no one, so being able to be sometimes that influential figure that they need and that they'll remember it's insane. Like, I think we take for granted what we do have in life and what some of these kids actually don't have, that like a necessity, the bare minimum. So being able to be there and just give them 5 minutes of your time every day so that they can get off their chest what they need is, yeah, it's good. I love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world, even if sometimes I might be having like a crisis moment when like screaming no down the corridor.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing, because I think, you know, we're getting a real sense of the passion and the kind of bringing on the next generation and just being there for them, as well as being there for yourself. Because at 21, you've achieved a great deal so far, which I am, you know, just in awe of. But it doesn't end there, does it? Because again, before we started recording, I discovered that you're off on a Duke of Edinburgh Award trek to kind of sort out the upcoming everyone doing Duke of Edinburgh's expeditions.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So, well, overall, our goal is, so in July, I'm taking 6 students out of my year group to Norway on a walking expedition.
Wow.
So we're going to be away for 8 days, walking, hiking and canoeing the coast of Norway. So in preparation for that, the kids are going to do the DV expedition. So yeah, I'm off out after this to go and like have a look through the routes, make sure that it's all appropriate for them. And I mean, it is, because we've already checked it, but I just want to be able to know that they're in safe hands.
I love that. When you mentioned Norway and then the fact that you were going off a trek, I was like, you haven't got time to go to Norway and come back.
No, it's crazy. Life is crazy. It's so busy.
And what are you doing to prepare for Enyo 7, aside from doing lots of trekking and walking? What's your training schedule looking like, Courtney?
It's very hectic, to be honest with you. So I train with my husband, who I mentioned earlier. He's a black belt. So I do some training with him. But I've recently started training at a new gym in my area, the Grappling Society, and they've been amazing with me. So at the minute I'm sort of going between the two, and then I have obviously like my gym schedule, my weight training, my cardiovascular training, running around with the dog, and going out on walks. It's just a bit hectic, to be honest with you, but underneath all of the busyness of it, there is some form of routine that I'd crumble without.
I agree. Routine saves us all. Even if we really don't like routine and we want to do last minute things, having a routine and a schedule for our life just takes away the stress of some of those things that we have to do to maintain motivation.
Absolutely.
I was going to say something else. What's that? I don't know. Oh, you mentioned about meditation. Now, is that part of your schedule, or now because you've overcome the nerves, meditation doesn't feature quite so much?
I mean, it depends what meditation is to you and to other people. I like to, before a fight, I'll get my headphones and listen to sort of some like lo-fi music, and just be able to sort of like find that inner self and be able to sort of have that conversation with myself and just be like, no, like this is my fight. I've trained really hard for it. Like whatever the outcome, there are small wins, whether that's that I managed to get a takedown that I've been working on for months, even if I did lose or whatever it is. It's being able to have that clear mindset and being able to pick out the small wins of actually, even if you did lose, what actually went well, and then we can work on what we lost, and where things didn't go quite as planned. But yeah, I think even just being able to find that safe space, even for 5 to 10 minutes before a fight, really helps me. I fought last weekend on Valhalla and it was all a little bit chaotic last week, and my husband had a little bit of an accident, so my emotions had just been up and down, been back and forth to the hospital. So when we got there, just having that 10 minutes to myself to just be like, recollect myself and focus and be able to bring myself back to the ground after the busyness of the week was very much needed for myself and for the competition. And then I was just able to walk onto the competition mats without a worry in the world.
Good. I love that. Any final advice for yourself or anyone listening before they approach Enyo 7, either as a competitor or as someone coming to enjoy the experience?
I mean, the experience from a spectator's position. Why can't I think of what I was going to say? For like a spectator, it's an amazing show. It's not one to be missed, and it's a big show, and it's only going to get bigger. So while you have the opportunity to be able to get tickets and for the show to be able to be so accessible, do it, because in a few years it won't be like that. It's amazing to be like a competitor on the show and to be able to be a spectator of all, like speaking from both sides, like just the way that you're treated with such respect as a fighter, where you usually wouldn't be in a competition. It's sort of, it really changes the perspective of it. So I'm really, really fortunate and grateful that Enyo have given me this opportunity.
Courtney, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I wish you all the luck. I will be there cheering everyone on, especially you, Courtney, at Enyo 7. And it's been great chatting with you. Hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Enyo Submission Only Jiu-Jitsu podcast.